Alan, in marketing, we spend a lot of time developing the market strategy and formulating implementation plans. But there's a world of difference between the strategy and planning effort and actual execution of the marketing effort. What do you see as the major issues in execution today?
Well, there are many, and they begin with that marketing plans are not set up for execution. The plan is not assignable, and metrics have not been set up to measure performance. And the result is activities being guided by yesterday's measures and often based on perceived goals from yesterday. So some of the remedies are to ensure that the plan is set up as a set of assignable initiatives, and that metrics that don't just measure the financial performance, but also the strategic performance are put in place.
Okay, Alan, but what exactly do you mean by assignable?
That the plan can be sectioned out and handed to individuals with goals and timing for their execution. That doesn't mean that the individual themselves do all the work, but that they are responsible for a concrete piece of the plan, such as the product development and introduction portion of a plan, or executing a value pricing initiative that's part of a plan.
Your second issue concerned metrics. You said that they might not be appropriate for the plan. Could you give some examples of what you would consider to be the incorrect or the wrong metrics, and then some examples of what you would consider to be the correct or right metrics?
What we see all the time is that lagging financial metrics, most often the monthly income statement, being the strongest guidepost for review and adjustment. The financial metrics are critically important to every business, but they only give half the story. First, they measure yesterday's strategy, not the one coming forward, but also strictly focusing on financial measures will lead you to a very short-term perspective in terms of actions in response to what you're seeing off plan. In contrast to financial metrics, what we like to see for marketing plans are a set of leading and lagging indicators that specifically measure performance against your plan. So examples of leading indicators might be brand awareness, numbers of inquiries from a target segment, those sorts of things. Lagging indicators might be hit rate of a certain type of customer or segment, or even market share in a well-defined type of market. And those which are leading, all of those are leading indicators to your financial measures, really get at the cusp of what your plan is trying to do much closer than the financial metrics. And when these are included in a monthly review process, there's a much richer dialogue on whether you're succeeding or not and what remedies are required to get on plan.
So you're saying that a firm might do very well in laying out all the action steps in a plan, but if it doesn't follow through on measuring the results of those actions, then in fact there might have been a whole lot of wasted effort.
Yeah, there are two extra steps that are needed. So step one is the one that we see most companies take. They develop a plan which calls out a direction. The first step beyond that, that many companies don't take, is to ensure that the plan is assignable, that is, can be sectioned out to people with clear goals for their execution, and with valid non-financial measures. The second step is to include a clear closed-loop review process to measure the managers on achievement of their individual goals and how they're doing versus the metrics. A review process that the shorter time frame between them, say monthly versus quarterly, the faster you will accelerate behavioral change to the plan and not something else.
Some firms use the correct metrics and a closed-loop system, and others just don't. Can you give some examples of performance differences between these two types of firm?
A general answer to your question is that without the proper metrics and the review process, most marketing plans will fail in their execution because there's just not enough implementation force to gain traction. And the time horizon between corrective steps will be too far and too ad hoc. On the contrary, with assignable objectives per manager and a clear review process with metrics, what you're effectively doing is accelerating the evolutionary process. The speed with which the company will learn where are they effective in the plan in this new direction, how to course adjust more quickly. A beautiful example that I know about is Mobil. When they executed their mini marts, they used this kind of process with measures and review process and were very successful in moving that along. Contrast with many examples that I could give you where plans turned out to be disappointments. And very often, 6 to 12 months in, it's not clear to managers, did we fail in the plan being invalid or was it our execution? Because when it's too little too late, it isn't clear whether it was your execution or a faulty strategy.